Today's Talk About a Tuesday question is, if you had to create a list of the most important things to include for a new person to create wealth, what would you include? I love this question. And there will be no surprises on this list because the list is simple. I tell people all the time, people don't fail because they don't know what to do. People fail because they don't do what they know. So you're going to hear some things on the list, simple list. Um, I'm sure you've heard most of it before, maybe not necessarily in this sequential order, but I'm going to give you seven basic steps that everyone has to follow. Now, will it look a little bit different on each step for each person? Absolutely. But these seven are essential, and you can't skip one. All seven. Part of the problem is two. Some people do one, two, three. I want to do seven. No, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven. Pretty much in this order. So the first thing is you have to create sufficient income that exceeds your expenses, not meet your expenses. Then you live in paycheck to paycheck. You must create sufficient income. So that means when you're planning your career, when you're planning your occupation, when you're planning your business venture, you should already have in mind that the lifestyle I want to live costs this much. The way I choose to create my income, whether it's again entrepreneurship or a job or whatever, is going to exceed the cost of living the way I want to live. So, boom, you have to create sufficient income to exceed your expenses. It's a given. You must take part of the excess income to create an emergency fund because emergencies will happen, right? And you can't, and if you don't have an emergency fund, you're gonna have to borrow, you're gonna have to use credit, and that's gonna put you in debt. It's gonna put you in a hole. So you have to create an emergency fund. And again, I've got videos on what an emergency fund is. Different people want to save a different amount based on what they consider an emergency. So you must create an emergency fund. Once that's established, you take the additional income, right? Because you don't have to put in an emergency fund anymore to support the future. What does that mean? To plan for major expenses down the road, whether it's furniture, appliances, education, wedding, house, whatever. You got to have to put money away that's specifically earmarked for long-term expenses. Um, that's three. Four, you should be building your credit. And how do you do that? Build credit responsibly by initially just getting a credit card and using it wisely, not carrying debt, using it and paying it off immediately so that you build your credit score and you build the amount of credit that people are willing to give you because you've demonstrated that you can use it responsibly and you pay on time. Five, you have to then start acquiring assets. You will use a combination of the excess income and your credit to leverage, to put them together so that you can buy assets, assets that will grow in value because you don't have wealth. I don't care how much income you have, you don't have wealth until you have assets. And I mean diversified, well diversified assets, not assets in one area. It can't just be real estate or can't just be stocks or can't just be collectibles. It has to be well diversified so that you don't lose value in certain swings of the economy. So well diversified assets and if possible income producing assets that generate their own income. Six, once you acquire these assets, you have to have a plan to protect and preserve and hopefully grow the value of these assets. So that means you need a plan to maintain. So again, if it's real estate, you have to have a maintenance plan. You can't let it just fall apart. You have to have every asset insured properly so you don't lose the value in case something happens. Theft, fire, injury, right? Liabilities, different type of liabilities. So you want to make sure they're properly maintained, properly insured, so that you can preserve the value of the assets. And then seven, you have to have a plan to pass on the wealth, which is the assets, after you pass. That means you need to create an estate plan, right? We none of us know our checkout date, but we know we're going to check out. So you have to have a plan in place now. Minimally, that means a will. Minimally, that means on all of your assets and everything that you have, whether it's a bank account or investments, that you have a beneficiary listed. Um, and if you need to, you create a trust, but you create an entire estate plan and who's going to handle it, and what's the distribution after you're gone. So those are the seven things. They're really, really simple. Again, how they look inside of that plan is going to be a little bit different for everyone, but income that exceeds your expenses, um, um, use the excess for an emergency fund, use the additional excess to create long-term savings for things that are expenses down the road, big expenses down the road. Build your credit, use credit and income to buy assets, and hopefully these assets pay off themselves if you use leverage like real estate and getting rental income. A plan to preserve the assets so they don't lose value, and a plan to pass them on. That's it. That's the plan. That's the blueprint. That's the outline. That's the way. So now you have the pathway forward. You got to fill in the blanks in terms of how that looks specifically for you. But that's it. There's no mystery. There's no secret. It's not like the rich are hiding these secrets. No, that's the plan. That's it. It's always been that. It's always going to be that. No shortcuts. And there's nothing hidden, no hidden traps, no hidden secrets, no hidden anything. That's it. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Where are you at on that? Did you know that? Are you somewhere along this blueprint? And are you using the plan? We'd like to know your thoughts. But please like, share, subscribe. Keep the questions coming, and I'll see you next Tuesday.